This is the instruction manual for the completion of the 4-part birth notification form. This document is the first document that's created for you when you're born in a hospital within England, United Kingdom, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, should I say. This is the first document that's created for you at the hospital. As you see at the bottom, these instructions should be read carefully by all personnel involved with the birth notification system and should be available for consultation in an area where the forms are completed. Now, let's take a look at this form for a second, because if this is the first form that's completed for the birth, then this basically is the live birth certificate that everybody seems to be chasing. Yeah, certificate of live birth. Certificate of live birth is for America, Canada, Australia, or wherever it is they're speaking about it. But I don't live there, so I live in England. This is the original document. This is the first document that's created for us in England. As you see in this top box here, it says, the birth notification form should be completed using a ballpoint pen. All text should be written in block capitals. Okay, so the midwife is told already in this first box that the name should be written in block capitals. And to be fair to the midwife probably won't know that they're writing in legal language, yeah, which is called legalese. Yeah, the midwife probably won't know that, but they're told and ordered to write names in capital letters. Yeah. If we look down a bit more in the red boxes, there are 4 parts to the birth notification form. Now, the first part, the white copy, goes to the registrar of births. Yeah, the yellow part goes to the director of public health and medicine. Green copy goes to perinatal reporting, blah blah blah, etc. Pink copy stays at the hospital. Read over that for yourself. But what I'm really interested in, the white copy goes to the registrar of births. Okay, so let's look at this form, what actually goes. Now you're going to see. This is the notification of birth to the registrar of births. First of all, when we look at the whole form, it looks like a ledger. You have the left side and you have the right side of the form. And as we go through, you'll see that the form, most of the form, is written in all capital letters, meaning it's a legal document. Let's look at the top of the form first of all. As you notice, I've kind of outlined a few boxes here. Let's just look at them. The first box we want to look at is the case number. The case number is basically your account number, basically to every other account what's created for you. It will all tie back to this one number. This is the first number you get. Yeah, this is your case number. Let's just look at what it's made up of. So if we look at the case number, each birth, live birth or stillbirth is identified by an 8-digit number, yeah, account number straight away. Okay, let's just look down the bottom at examples. So this is how they get it. The first, if your birthday is, say, if you was the first born in the year you was born. So for example, if you was born in 2013, as it says here, your case number will be 2013. As you see under the case number there, you got the year, Y year. So that would be 2013, and then you were the first born, so 0001. Yeah. So if you was 512 or 1008, as you see from the examples here, yeah, this would be your case number. So your year you was born would be the first 4 numbers. Then whatever number you were born within either the hospital or that whole area, this is the thing that you need to find out. Find out what number you was born in basically this whole case number scenario. If you find out that that's your case number, basically that's going to be your account number. Okay, so we can look over all of this again, but I'm just skimming over this, and we can talk about this at some point later. Okay, let's move on to this section here where it says infants details. Yeah. Okay, first of all, I want to point out, when you was born, you was classed as an infant. Yeah, and an infant goes from 0 to 7 years. Yeah. And if a lot of you know about the Cestui Que Vie Act 1666, yeah, if a tenant goes missing from the domicile for the period of 7 years is presumed dead. So if you're an infant and then you was born in a hospital, you go missing from the domicile and you don't report back to the hospital, you've gone missing for 7 years. That's why on your birth certificate, you're known as a child. Yeah, let's just see that for a second. I mean, we'll look at the birth certificate in a second, but just have a look at this for a second. So I Googled junior school starting age. Now, the junior schools we know over in England, we have infants, we have junior, we have secondary. Yeah. So as you see Google here, it says 7 to 11 years junior schools. So if you start junior school at 7, you become a child. The child starts then. Remember, you're infant school before that, so you're 0 to 7. This is where the Cestui Que Vie Act comes into place, because you don't go back and confirm. But we'll get into that in a moment. I hope you understand that. Yeah, the infant is not the child. The infant was the entity before the child. Again, we're just skipping over this kind of stuff. So let's move down for a second. The first thing I want to look at here is the surname. Now, if they're writing in all capital letters and they relate it to being legal, okay, so it must be in the legal dictionary. So the word surname in a legal dictionary: surname, the family name, the name over and above the Christian name. Yeah, hear that again. The family name, the name over and above the Christian name, the part of a name which is not given in baptism, the name of a person which is derived from the common name of his parents. So basically the surname is the part of the name which is not given in baptism. This is very important. Yeah, it's not given in baptism. Your Christian name is given in baptism, not your surname. So I just wanted to make sure you understood that, the baptism, yeah, because we're going to get into that in a moment. Okay, so let's look at the forename. Okay, so again, forename is written in capital letters. Now, let's look at that. First problem here is that there is actually no forename in the legal dictionary. So, how can they use the word forename on a document in legal writing? As they class it, it's legal. Anything written in capital letters is legal. Yeah, that's what they say. But we'll come to that later. So, as you can see, forename is not in the legal dictionary. Please go and have a look. This is Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. Yeah, so please go and have a look. In any dictionary, you won't see forename. But I did a search in the Black's Law Dictionary for the word forename, and this is what came up. Praesinomen. Latin, forename or first name. The first of the 3 names by which the Romans were commonly disguised. It marked the individual, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, basically commonly written with just the initial. So your forename could be used just as your initial. So if your name's Charlie, the C would be used just for your forename. That's why a lot of these legal companies and these companies can just use your initial for your first name. And I went under PRZ. So as you can see here, PRY, Prike, under there should be the PRZ. It should come in there, but it's not there in Black's Law Dictionary. So I thought, wait a minute, what's going on? So I scanned for it. I went done back the search again and found a forename, and I thought to myself, where is it? So it was there, here. It's under PRI. So I'm thinking to myself, pray. So when I done a search in the normal dictionary, it's praenomen, PRAENOMEN, not pray with an I or a Z. It's PRAE. So here's one thing they're trying to hide. They don't want us to know that our actual forename, or the definition of a well, not even a definition, because the legal word isn't even in the legal dictionary with a definition. This praesinomen is, which should be praenomen. So if we take a quick look back at the instruction manual, The forenames of infant, a forename or forenames needs to be completed. It is important for registration purposes that the infant's forename or forenames should be available. Parents should be encouraged to decide on a name or names at an early date after birth. So basically, they want you to put the forenames down as well. But usually, a family or a baby that's brand new born would just usually come with the surname because that's the family name it's been born into. Usually the parents haven't got a name as just such as yet. Sometimes there is a name straight away, so they just give the forenames over. Remember, it's the forenames you're giving over. Yeah, pay attention to that word, forename, really important. So the surname will always be the family name, which is the debtor. Yeah, as we know. So the surname goes in the surname box first. Yeah, then this document gets sent over to the registrar of births. Yeah, so your forename isn't in there yet. Now, when this document goes over to the registrar of births, the infant's details, as you see, is the date of birth. So the date you was actually born is only for the surname. Yeah, it's just for the surname. It's not for the forenames yet. Yeah, if we look over the other side of the form, of the ledger form, we see in the other little red box there, date of registration. Okay, let's have a look at that for a second. Just remembering though, before we look at this, is that how the name, your surname, has already been made into a legal entity because it's been written in capital letters by the midwife. So whatever's added to this from now on is added to the first legal entity that was created on the day you was born. This is why they need the mother or the parents to fill out and give them the Christian name or the forename as soon as possible, because they need to start the ball rolling. Yeah, remember, they've got from 0 to 7 years for the tenant to go missing from his domicile. Remember the Sestu-KV Act 1666. Yeah, so if they get the Christian name, they can add, well, the forename, they can add the forename to the surname, which is already the legal entity. Then it becomes, the whole name becomes a legal entity with that date of birth. So for example, if the surname was Doe, D-O-E would have been written in capital letters by the midwife. Yeah, then this next form, what I'm going to show you, would be the form where your mum fills out to give over to the birth registrar for the Christian name. So whether the Christian name is written in uppercase and lowercase, proper descriptive English text, grammar, then it's still going to be attached to the surname, which is the legal entity with that date of birth. So every time you give over your date of birth, you're giving over a legal entity's date of birth. Let's just check this form for a second. This form was provided kindly by Jessica. Thanks, Jess. This form is Form 1. Now, as you can see, this form is the particulars of birth form. Whether this is filled out by your mother or the midwife or someone in the birth notification system process, this is Form 1. Again, birth, the particulars of birth form. Now, when you look at this form, what does it look like? It looks like your birth certificate. This is the actual birth certificate that you're given. It's not a birth certificate. It's a particulars of birth form. As you see at the top, the Births and Deaths Registration Act 1953. It's the same thing what's written on your birth certificate. We'll come back to this in a moment. But as you can see, the name and surname and everything else, the sex, the child, and on this document for the birth is the child. Yeah, remember, it's the child now. So this document will be given to you after 7 years old. This is when you go missing from your domicile for the period of 7 years, and you get one of these documents. Here's a sample document, specimen document I found on the internet. Okay, so for example, this is just basically somebody just filled in some information on it. Okay, so if we look at the document straight away, there's a big square box, and at the top of that square box it says birth, entry number 123. Yeah, Underneath that, registration district, sub-district, administration area, metropolitan borough, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you notice that it's in a box, all of this information is in a box from top of birth all the way down to the bottom where it says number 17, box number 17 at the bottom, and there's a stripe through that box. Yeah, all of this basically is your birth particulars form. Now, your birth particulars form has been superimposed onto a security instrument. At the top, you see the application number, and then on the right hand side, you see a code number. Underneath that, you see a symbol in the middle, which is the crown or the registrar's seal, and then it says certified copy of an entry. Certified copy of an entry written in capital letters, which is, okay, as they say it, legal. Right down at the bottom, outside of the boxes, where it says 3rd of August 2012, underneath in all capital letters where it's in bold, it says warning, a certificate is not evident of identity. Yeah, so this is a certified copy of an entry. It's not a certificate. Yeah, it's not a certificate, it's a certified copy of an entry. Yeah, but it's saying warning, a certificate is not evidence of identity at the bottom. Okay, so as you see here, in the name and surname, the surname there, see, they've disguised it quite good actually, because the name Smith, SMI, could be written as, that looks like lowercase, but it's actually not, it's uppercase. Yeah, if we look down in box 9 where it says maiden surname, it says Jones. Yeah, down the page a little bit, Jones, yeah, the maiden surname, that's written in all capitals. When we look at Smith, again, John Philip Smith and Philip John Smith, it looks like it's all written in uppercase, lowercase, but it's actually not. Yeah, the Smith is actually written in capitals. Again, Margaret Valerie Smith. If the Smith was a lowercase I, that it would have a dot on it, like Valerie, like Philip. Yeah. And look how they've written Margaret slightly bigger than the A and the R with the M. The M is the same size as the I and the T and the H, which are capitals. In Smith, this is how they try and disguise things as well. But more importantly, what I want to point out here is the actual name in box 2. Name and surname, John Philip Smith. Okay, so first of all, they're classing it a name, not a forename, and a surname. Now, first of all, they're putting these two names in the same one box. Now, on the birth notification form for the infant, the forename and the surname were on separate boxes. So you can't just take the two names from separate boxes because they're not the same thing and join them together. That's why when you look at the certified copy of an entry and you look at box 2 and it says John Philip Smith, the name and surname. So the name and surname, and is to add something. So they are allowed to put the two names in there. They're not saying it's one name and then another name. They're saying the two names are there. We mislead ourselves to say that this is one name. It's not. It's actually two names. Your forename and your surname. The reason they keep relating it to forename is because it hasn't been made into a Christian name yet. And the reason I say this is because if we look down at box 15, there's a registration date of registration. Now, the date of registration was the 28th of June 2009. Yeah, but if we look back at box 1, the actual date of birth was the 21st of June 2009. Yeah, so 7 days later, the date of registration. So the mother would have filled out the particulars of birth form, which is this same form, sent it over to the birth registrar, or the midwife would have filled it out, sent it over, basically, and they would have joined the two names together, creating a legal entity with a full name, John Philip Smith. Yeah, so the legal entity now is John Philip Smith. It doesn't matter if the name was written in uppercase and lowercase, because remember, the mother filled out the name on the birth particulars form, which is this form basically. Okay, this is the form which I kind of like put 2 lines on the side. And if you see, this basically is the form that, okay, I found another document on the internet as well, and I kind of like just cleared it all out and just left the background. Now, as you can see, this is a blank security form which is held at the Treasury or whoever holds this, yeah, wherever we get our certificate of entries from, so-called birth certificate. Yeah, so if we look at this document, now we look at the birth particulars document. Now, if I take the birth particulars document and I can superimpose it on top of the security instrument, then that becomes your document, which they class as a birth certificate. And we then choose to run around with it and use it as identification, which we're warned not to use it as identification. That's why when we look at the birth notification form, on the left side, you've got the debtor as they know on a ledger, and on the right side you've got the creditor. Now the date of registration is on the right side, so this is when they gave you your forename. The forename is the one not tied to the debtor. As we saw earlier on, the surname, as it said, the surname is not attached to the Christian name, and with a Christian name, the Christian name is not baptized with the surname. So just a quick note and a reminder that everybody is running around using a legal entity's surname as their date of birth entity, where they're not using the forename entity, which was actually entered into wherever, because it was a certified copy of an entry into where, into what. But you're not using the registration date. The registration date is your forename and your surname. If you're giving over your date of birth, which is in box 1, you're giving over just the surname, because remember that just the surname was registered on your birth notification form on the left hand side at that infant date of birth. Yeah, remember it was the infant to start with. Because the infant never returned over the period of 7 years, is presumed dead. So you're just a dead child, but you're using that dead entity date of birth. You should be using the registration date of birth. And because you're using that date of birth for the legal entity, now you're becoming and you're using the legal name. Now, if we look at what legal name is in the legal dictionary, under common law consists of one Christian name and one surname, and the insertion, omission, or mistake in middle name or initial is immaterial. So it doesn't really matter if you've got a middle name or not. The legal name is one Christian name and one surname. But what gets me is, what is the Christian name? Because up to now, Christian name hasn't been mentioned. They've only mentioned the forename. Let's look at what Christian name is in the legal dictionary. So the Christian name, the baptismal name as distinct from the surname. Okay, so it's a baptismal name, yeah? So the Christian name is a name that's been baptized or been christened, yeah? The name which is given one after his birth or at baptism, or is afterward assumed by him in addition to his family name. Yeah, so it's addition to your family name. So your family name was created first, which we know from the birth notification form. Now the Christian name has to come somewhere. Okay, the forename was given over on a birth particulars form, but that wasn't the Christian name because it wasn't stated as the Christian name, and it was written as forename. As we see that their forename was no forename in the legal dictionary, but Christian name is. Yeah, the baptismal name. Okay, let's look at this. I'd just like to remind you as well, again, that every document we've looked at so far has been a legal document. Now, here's a lawful document. This document is the certificate of name given in baptism within 12 months after registration of birth. Now, the certificate of name given in baptism, and there's another document like this, which is a certificate of name not given in baptism. So there's two documents. Whether you was baptized or not, you were still given a certificate of name. Yeah, remember, it's a certificate of name, not baptism, not no cross on your head, not no feeding food or in your mouth, or certificate of your name. So your name, so the name you've had up to the day you was baptism is not a christened name, is not a baptized name. So the name you're running around with is a sinful name. It's a forename. It's not a Christian name. It's a forename. It's a sinful name because you haven't been to the church and actually been baptized or christened. Well, you don't need to get baptized or christened for your name to be given to you, but you're still, because you're always going to be seen as a legal dead entity, not a living entity. This document, certificate of name given in baptism, makes you the living entity and under Christ. Let's look through this document for a moment. As it says here, that would be the father or the officiating minister of the church, do hereby certify that according register of baptisms for, and then your name would go in there, now in my custody, the male, and then the cross here, yeah, is the Christian. The male Christ child or the female Christ child stated to have been born on whatever day you was born. That takes it back to the birth notification birth date. Now, if we look at this form, I don't want to get too in detail, but you can have a look over this form. But if we look at this form, there's actually two forms on this one form. And it's the size of the A5 sheet. It's half of an A4 size piece of paper. Yeah, you've got this on one side, and then you've got the notice section down at the bottom there on the other side. But let's just look at this. On the top, on the first side, you've got two forms here. At the bottom, if you see down half the page, you've got a dark black line there going across. Yeah, that's what separates the top and the bottom. If you notice at the top, it says certificate of name given in baptism with a hashtag. And then above the dark black line in the middle of the page, on the right hand side, you've got signature of the officiating minister. And that's the person having custody of the register. Yeah, this is the church. Yeah, because remember, it's the baptism, it's the church. Now, your name is being christened. Now, underneath the black line, this document then gets signed by the officiating minister and gets sent over to the birth registrar, who's got your birth notification form. Now, if you read under the black line there, it says certificate of entry of baptismal name. Certificate of entry of baptismal name. Now go and look at your birth certificate and see that it says certified copy of an entry. Of what? Entry of what? Into what? Of who? At least on this document, which is a lawful document, because there's no boxes surrounding the page. Yeah. It's all on one entire skin. Look up the four corners rule. Underneath the dark line there, it says certificate of entry of baptismal name. Now, underneath that, where it's signed and dated, you've on the right hand side, you've got the superintendent registrar or the registrar. They will strike one out. Now, automatically, you've got two signatures and two witnesses on this document. And plus, if you can see, it's a light blue document, robin nest egg shell coloured document, which is the colour document of the church. This will get sent to the Vatican. You won't see this document. Yeah. If we look on the other side of it, it states down at the bottom. Actually, I'm going to read the bottom section. This certificate should be completed and signed by the minister or person who performed the baptism or who has custody of the register in which the baptism is recorded. He will be entitled to the fee of £1. The certificate should be taken to the registrar or the superintendent registrar who has custody of the registrar in which the child's birth was registered. That's the birth notification form, the surname. Yeah, the child is the surname, not the infant. The registrar or superintendent registrar will enter the name in the space provided for it in the child's birth entry. Yeah, the name or names inserted entirely, so that's your Christian name, forenames, and your surname entirely supersede any name of the child already appearing in their entry. Yeah, so if you've got 3 date of births. Yeah, first of all, you got your first date of birth, which we saw and which we looked at, which was on the birth notification form. Yeah, your birth notification form gave you the infant's details, which was the date of birth. So your date of birth would be your date of birth, which is in box 1 of your certified copy of an entry, birth certificate, so-called. If we look at box 1, it's box 2, it says John Philip Smith, and in box 1 was the 21st of June. So Smith was born on the 21st of June. So that's the first date of birth for the first name, the surname, which on the birth notification form is on the left hand side, yeah, with the date of birth. Now, even though the forenames and the surnames is written on the birth notification form in the left hand side, it's still known to be the debtor, yeah. It's not the name we're looking at, it's the dates we're looking at. So if we look back now on the birth certificate, certified copy of an entry, if we look in box 15, the date of registration, the date of registration is when John Philip, the Christian name or forename, was handed over to the birth registrar to complete the full name to put onto this document, and that date of registration was on the 28th of June 2009, which is in box 15. Now, if we look back on the birth notification form, on the right hand side, which is the creditor's side of a ledger, you've got the date of registration. So the date of registration would be the 28th of June, rather than on the left hand side for the infant's date of birth would be the 21st of June, if you get the drift. Yeah. Now, when you look at the certificate of name given in baptism, okay, I'm going to take myself for an example. I was born in June 1970. I was registered, my name was given over in August 1970. It took 2 months. I was a cesarean birth. I was 2 months premature. So it took my mum a bit of time to recover. So 2 months they gave her to recover. In 2 months, in August, she gave over my Christian name, my forename, over to them. That gave me that date of birth, which was August. Now, in 1972, I went and got christened, which was baptized. That's my 3rd date of birth. Now, remember, the baptism date supersedes any other date in the entry. I was baptized in August 1972. I've just taken 2 years off my life, knowing now I am a Christian with a Christian Christ name. So basically, this is bringing back the Christ name. As I said in the Bible, Christ shall return. This is Christ's name returning. If you go and get your baptism certificate, if you're born in the Church of England, you can go and get it from the London Metropolitan Archive in East Central London. If you're in any other, go to the church and ask the vicar or the father in the church or the priest or whoever for a certificate of baptism. He's going to ask you for some details, of course, and you're going to have to provide details, of course, who your parents were, etc., etc., etc. Nothing major. Same thing as on your birth certificate or certified copy of an entry. But yeah, go and get this document, and then the date of your baptism. If you didn't get baptized, you will have another document, which is the certificate of name not given in baptism, and that will be your 3rd date as well. Yeah. I mean, I spoke to Jessica about it. Jessica understands it now anyway. So she sees the free date of birth as well. And so does everybody else, in a certain sense that I'm really pushing it out to. So hopefully you can see this. And then, yeah, we can go on top of this. But I'm going to leave it there for now because this is quite a long video. But we will get into more of this and talk more of this. But I hope this information helped you out and kind of like allows you to see my truth and where I'm coming from in questioning these documents. Yeah. And by the way, every document that is written has capital letter wording. Now, they say it's legal and it's the legal way of doing things. Now, my question to them and your question to them should be, okay, if it's legal, then show me every word in the legal dictionary. As you saw, we saw the surname in the legal dictionary. We saw Christian name in the legal dictionary. We didn't see forename in the legal dictionary. Now, go and have a look for your name, because they're writing your name as a legal word. If your name's not in the legal dictionary, where are they getting that name from? The only thing I can say is that how there's only 2 languages that can be used in the entire universe of language. Basically, the only 2 languages that can use the capital letter word system is English or sign language. If you're using English, you can only use it as an acronym. So please explain the acronym and what does the acronym stand for. If you're using it as sign language, first of all, you're debasing sign language because you're removing the hyphen from each of the words and joining the words together. Look at David Wynn Miller's technique. He uses sign language, but he hasn't told everybody he's using sign language. Remember, David Wynn Miller's technique is just a technique. It's not a language. The language David Wynn Miller is writing in is sign language. Go and look it up. Romy Stewart and Rohan Lorian pointed out this point in Chicago Manual of Style, 16th edition, section 11.147. Go and check that out and have a look and you'll see. But we'll get more into this because this is quite a long video and I don't want to keep it too long. Hope this helps. Peace.